In our current era, flags play a crucial role in many different aspects of society, whether it be political, social, or sporting events. China, arguably one of, if not the oldest nation in the world, has lived through immense changes in its existence, and therefore has adopted many different flags along the way. While it wasn't until the late Qing dynasty that an official national flag was adopted, many other standards and flags were used in the past. It is certain that battle flags have been in use since ancient times to coordinate attacks and avoid confusions. The first written trace of flags in China comes from the book of the philosopher Mencius, who, when asked how royal servants should be signalled, he answered, "A plain red silk standard for ordinary men, a standard displaying 2 dragons to call scholars, and a standard decorated with feathers of 5 colours hanging from the top of a lance for main administrators." Different flags can also be seen in a variety of Chinese artworks, such as in the painting Wenji Arriving Home from the set Lady Wenji's Return to China. The artist is unknown, but his work was created in the second quarter of the 12th century under the Southern Song dynasty. It depicts the return of Lady Wenji during the end of the Han dynasty period. Also known by her name of birth Cai Yan, she was an admired poet and musician fallen captive to the Xiongnu Federation until 207, when mighty warlord Cao Cao paid a heavy ransom to bring her back to China. If you're interested in that period or in Cao Cao, don't hesitate to go and watch my video on him, links in the description below. During the famous Ming dynasty, it is likely that a flag displaying the character Ming was used, although this cannot be proven. The flag was thought to be a yellow triangle with the character Ming written in black on a white disc, and would have been used mainly on ships. The Ming dynasty was overthrown by the Qing during the mid-17th century. In the 1705 Karel Allard's New Dutch Shipbuilding, a manual on navigation and ship construction, an unusual flag was presented as being the imperial Chinese flag under the Qing dynasty. It was re-edited in Russian in 1911, which explains the Cyrillic text next to it. The same flag was depicted as China's in Bowles's Universal Display of Naval Flags of All Nations of 1783. Interestingly, I found that flag again in the Johnson's New Chart of National Emblems, an American etching and engraving produced in 1864 or 68. However, it was this time described as Cochin China's flag. The imperial Chinese flag is also depicted, but its design is probably completely wrong as it represents a European-style dragon on it, very different from the azure dragon traditionally represented in China. Nonetheless, its shape coincides with yet another design described as Chinese imperial flag from an 1876 Japanese plate. It is however certain that the first flag adopted as a national symbol came from 1862, shortly after the Second Opium War. Since before it no real official flags existed, civilian ships were undistinguishable from the Imperial Chinese Navy, which led to many confusions. The British Navy therefore urged China to solve this problem. Prince Gong, son of the Daoguang Emperor and at the time regent of the empire, called upon the statesman Deng Guofan, who I talked about in my videos about the Taiping Rebellion, links in the description below, to find a solution. He first wanted to adopt a square yellow flag bearing a dragon, but he finally decided to adopt a triangular one instead. This was to avoid confusion with the flags of the 8 banners, administrative and military divisions created by the founder of the Qing dynasty in 1615. Thus, the triangular yellow dragon flag became a governmental symbol of Imperial China, even though it was still not technically considered as a national flag but rather a naval ensign. In 1881, the military administrator Li Hongzhang, who I also talked about in my Taiping videos, asked the imperial court for an altering of the shape of the ensign, as a triangular one was judged impractical. He later urged Empress Dowager Cixi to adopt an official national flag. In 1888, Empress Dowager Cixi chose out of a selection including flags representing the Ba Gua symbol, which had been adopted by the Korean Empire just a few years before, the Qielin, a mythical Chinese creature, and the famous rectangular yellow dragon flag. The Empress opted for that last one. Thus, the first official Chinese national flag was chosen. Soon after, the design was used in many other flags in China, such as the 1897 Chinese Eastern Railway flag, a transnational line between the Russian and Chinese empires. The flag was actually not modified until 1915, 3 years after the fall of the empire. In 1911, revolutionary leader Sun Yat-sen incited the Wuchang Uprising, a new anti-dynastic rebellion which led to the Xinhai Revolution. The Wuchang insurgents adopted the Iron Blood 18-star flag. It was originally created in August 1907 by Chinese revolutionaries in exile in Japan. The colors of the flag symbolized iron and blood. The 9 points represent the 9 ancient provinces of China, and the 18 yellow spots represent the 18 provinces of Han China, excluding Manchuria, Mongolia, Xinjiang and Tibet, regions not populated in majority by Han ethnic Chinese. After the success of the Xinhai Revolution in early 1912, the empire was overthrown, ending the Qing dynasty. Sun Yat-sen and other revolutionary leaders founded the Beiyang government. They advocated tolerance and racial integration, and therefore adopted on the 10th of January 1912 the 5 races under one union flag for their new republic. Each of the colors represents an ethnicity. The Han in red, the Manchus in yellow, the Mongols in blue, the Hui in white, and the Tibetans in black. The Wuchang Uprising flag was however still used by the army. In March 1912, just 2 months later, ex-imperial general Yuan Shikai used his influence and became president of the Beiyang government, succeeding Sun Yat-sen. He gradually became more authoritarian, and in 1915 he decided to establish his own empire. 2 flags were adopted, both inspired by the 5 races under one union. The empire did not last, however, due to a strong opposition and rebellions, and was dismantled 83 days later. Yuan Shikai died shortly after. Although the republic was re-established, the country was torn apart, and the immensely complicated warlord era began, where different military cliques had regional control over China. In 1917, Sun Yat-sen created a rival government in Guangdong to resist the Beiyang government. It would become known as the Kuomintang, or Nationalist Party, adopting as its flag the blue sky with a white sun, designed by Lu Haodong, a Chinese revolutionary martyr. To this day, it is still the flag of the Nationalist Party. Sun Yat-sen also adapted it into the blue sky, white sun and the holy red earth flag, which became the national flag of the new government, and later of Taiwan. Please note that the red here is not at all linked to communism, but rather the traditional use of red as a color of happiness through Chinese history. The Kuomintang became a whole clique in Guangdong province, and many warlords joined it, such as Chiang Kai-shek in 1918. The new clique rapidly clashed with others. After the Kuomintang's northern expedition, that ended in 1928, the last of the Beiyang government was destroyed by the nationalist forces, led by Chiang Kai-shek, who took over the Republic of China and most of its territory. Meanwhile, communism had been slowly spreading since the 1920s, and in 1931, communist-controlled China established its own government, the Chinese Soviet Republic. A new flag was created for it, inspired by the state emblem of the USSR. Communist and nationalist forces, which had become the only 2 real factions controlling China, clashed many times during the Chinese Civil War, but they stopped hostilities during the Second World War to fight the invading Japanese. The Chinese Civil War resumed shortly after, in 1946. 3 years later, Mao Zedong, chairman of the Chinese Communist Party, was able to repel Chiang Kai-shek to Taiwan and took control of all of mainland China, establishing the People's Republic of China on the 21st of September 1949. The 5-star red flag was adopted, with the red being the color of communism, and the 5 stars and their relationship representing the unity of the Chinese people under the leadership of the Communist Party of China. Through its history, China and its military forces have been represented by a variety of flags and symbols, out of which 2 national flags remain today: the 5-star red flag in the People's Republic of China, symbol of China's communist past, and the blue sky, white sun and the holy red earth in the Republic of China, a memory of its revolutionary past. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please like it and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions relating to the topic, feel free to ask them in the comment section below.